Kubernetes is really topical right now, and it's sort of taking off like a rocket ship. So let's take you through a little bit of a journey of where we've gone as an industry and where we're going. If you've been around quite a bit, like me and Amit, I was actually working in the IT industry, back when the data center consisted of primarily just mainframes, right? Large singular servers running a single operating system, running a single application. And that was largely, that's what our data centers looked like. And a fundamental revolution happened, and we had a front row seat to this, which was really exciting. And it was really the advent of something called the hypervisor. And the hypervisor really, although it wasn't invented by VMware, they brought it to the masses. The hypervisor, and especially VMware in particular, allowed us to consolidate all of these workloads onto a single piece of hardware. We're able to run multiple operating systems, multiple Linux operating systems, multiple Windows operating systems on top of a singular infrastructure. And this revolutionized our data center. It really provided workloads to start scaling and start being managed. And that's really where vSphere became really popularized, because they brought a solution where really solved this problem of VMware sprawl. We had this or VM sprawl. We had this, we started having hundreds of virtual machines and thousands of virtual machines, and we needed really a way to manage them. And if we needed to clone an application, I had to clone an entire operating system. And if I needed, dozens or even hundreds of web servers, I had to clone an entire web server. And this is fundamentally a challenge today in today's data center, especially around security. We've got, every time I clone an application, I have to clone an entire operating system, and I have to worry about things like security. I have to worry about things like patching, and fundamentally, these applications are very heavy. And I think there's a fundamental shift now to say, why do I need to clone an entire operating system if I'm really just interested in the application itself? So we've started to shift, fundamentally to this idea of containerizing the application. So if you heard about containers, that's really fundamentally what we're talking about, is separating the application away from the operating system. And when I need to distribute an application, clone an application, scale an application, it's just the application, not the entire operating system. And we get a much lighter weight scaling in our data center. We see Docker here on the screen. Docker didn't invent the container, but again, like VMware, they brought containers to the masses. They popularized this idea of taking an application, separating it away from the operating system, and changing the way that we distributed these applications. Again, we have the same excuse me. Again, we have the same problem that we had in the VM days of now we've got container sprawl. We need a way to manage hundreds or even thousands of containers that are being deployed and scaled throughout our data centers now. And there's been some players that have stepped in to try to be that de facto orchestration engine for containerized applications. And that really now, it seems more than ever that Kubernetes is the winner in the space. So I think you're going to be hearing about Kubernetes is now the de facto scaling engine, an orchestration engine for containerized workloads. Kubernetes, of course, came out of Google Labs. They were initially a Google project. They open sourced this project, gave it to the community. It's now being run and managed by the CNCF. That's the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, who manages this open source project. And I think this is really why Kubernetes has become the de facto orchestration tool, because it is being managed as an open source project.